Welcome to the sports segment here on Midday Live. My name is Julie Bewa. Over the weekend, the Black Queens made sure that they beat their Burkina Faso counterpart to qualify to the final round of the African Women's Championship to meet Ethiopia. And I've got in the studio with me Rosalind Amu, who is the vice chairperson of the Women's League Board and also double as a journalist for Graphic Sports. Rosalind, thank you so much for joining me in the studio.
Thanks for having me.
Over the weekend, the Black Queens, I'm sure it was to be expected that they win after winning the first game 3-0. They also won comfortably at home.
Yes, I mean, when you spoke with Coach Basigi, he said his main focus was to make sure that the team qualified for the final round because they missed out on the last African Women's Championship and there was no way they were going to miss it. And having seen the team train, I realized that they had the materials to win and progress. And so, I mean, it was expected. And you know that when you have an experienced team, they just need the instructions and they carry it out. And it was very evident in the way they played. Agnes Ediako and Faiza Ibrahim were the goal scorers. And you remember that painfully 2 years ago, these two players were on the bench when we struggled to win against Cameroon. But I think this time around, the technical team realized what they could do and they started with them. And I'm sure they got the goals. They were the same girls who scored also in Burkina Faso.
Okay, but now they've qualified to the next stage, that is the final round. They struggled to even go to the last African Women's Championship, but now Ethiopia, what kind of threat do they possess?
Well, if you remember, Ethiopia was responsible for our not going to the 2012 Olympic Games, and it was a painful elimination. But I think that between then and now, they've played the Ethiopians twice in 2 friendly games, and so they know what they are capable of doing. And Basigi tells me they are not going to take it easy at all. They are going on break today, but they resume late April to start training for their first away encounter in May.
Okay, now let's switch to the Princesses. They are in August, they are going for the Under-20 Women's World Cup, and it's top priority, I think, on the list of even the Women's League Board. The draw was done this weekend, and they play none other than Canada in the first game. I think the tension will be great in that particular game.
First matches or opening matches are always not the best, and for the Princesses, I mean, it's going to be a test case for them. You remember 2 years ago, they went and in their first game, they went down heavily to the USA. They lost 5-0 to the USA. And Canada almost are similar to the USA. And they are the host team. They will have all the fans coming out to support them. But I think that if you ask me, I mean, people see it as a very tricky draw. I say it's an interesting draw because it is a draw that anybody who is well prepared could advance. Yes, North Korea is tough. Finland are tough. Canada are the host nation. But I think that if we do our homework well and we prepare well, that should be easier than the group we were drawn in the last time.
Okay, but talking about Finland, Korea, in that particular group, I'm sure they'll be able to sail through. But let's finally touch on the maidens who are also in the USA preparing for the Costa Rica tournament.
Yes, they've arrived. They'll be there till next week, Monday. And they are also playing their first game on the 15th. What they are doing right now in Alabama is that they are just finishing off their preparation. They've had 3 months intensive training in Ghana, and they are just trying out, playing some friendly matches to see how well they have. I think that it is a fine blend of experienced players who were in Azerbaijan and new players, and therefore Coach Adote shouldn't have much of a problem. We all wait to see how their first game goes, and then we would know whether they can repeat what they did in Azerbaijan 2 years ago.
It is indeed a busy year for the women's football.
It is, and we are excited because it means when it happens like that, it continues and you are able to also win more players over to the game, because at the moment it looks like football is the most active sport in the country now.
Okay, thank you so much, Rosalind Amo. I've been talking to Rosalind Amo, who is the vice chairperson of the Women's League Board. But before